If we only knew how important to diagnose a situation was and create a tool that evaluates how the situation is going, we would be better off in the long run. A lot of the problems that we face are based off our inability to look at a situation and read a percentage. And there is a solution, and one I call my VIP cohort, ready to lend an ear. We got something really special today. I've gone over it a little bit, but this system that I want to go over with you, one that diagnoses relationships, because there needs to be a tool, because too much of a price has been paid for those that have not listened to something important, and that being the FAEN. The FAEN deals with how we run into life. Think about it. We have a lot of people that lose money, time, and years due to one mistake, and that being how everyone just fits this box. Our family, our friends, we're just supposed to conduct ourselves in this just merry-go-lucky way. But that is not how the world works. There is just too many nuances, too many subtle signals that we just bury down and not evaluate effectively. And we need to wake up to the fact that this is not a way of living. Have you ever thought of times where you loaned money to somebody and they never paid you back? Wonder why? And I can tell you why. Mostly is there's subtle signals of how their conduct is. Not so much that you can guarantee that they'll pay you back, but more or less is their character and how they conduct themselves, trying to make attempts, showing love, care, and respect. If that ain't there, it's a gone cause. But what the FAEN does is it separates how we look at things. We have the friend, the ally, the enemy, and the nemesis. And I'm going to pull up on my screen here. This is what it looks like, just me drawing it out on Canva. This was my rough first prototype of it. And I was just thinking in my head, when I was writing my first book, don't immerse yourself in that environment. It's all out on Vipelex.com. Just click the VIP book, and then you'll have the downloads. It's all free. I didn't want to gatekeep my book to people who need it. I want you to understand who I am and the fires that I went through, because it was many. And I believe that most of us need to diagnose our relationships. And it's not to please people. It's to make sure that we're coming first and making sure that we can be able to help others in the future. So I broke down the 4 parts of it. So you see how this matrix works and the grids and the boxes. And the cool thing that you can do about it, you can choose 2 or 4. This is the cool part that you can do. I didn't really go deep on it in the book, but I'm going to go deep here with you. So let's say we choose the friend, and we say that they're 50-50. I'm going to call you a flippin' lunatic. You're not trying to use it to the best effectiveness. You're trying to see them only in a friend light, because there could be behaviors that are enemy-like. If you just say friend, you're really writing it short, and it could honestly show that you're not really taking this seriously, or you're not looking at things in the right lens, and should be a flag. You need to look deeper. So let's say I choose the friend ally. The friend part is 80% and the ally is 20%. That is very someone that you want to be loyal to, but also know that they could possibly change in the future. Why would I say they possibly change in the future? Because no relationship is just stagnant. There's ups and downs. So always use this constantly. If you start seeing the relationship and you're like, man, I used it a month ago, but now I'm seeing these new behaviors that just don't seem right, go back to it again. This FAEN can be used to re-diagnose things, and then you can introduce new patterns, and it could showcase, hey, they might actually be becoming enemy and Nemesirian. Because let's say the enemy part, we're starting to bicker on like political philosophy, and it's like a good debate, and we both leave out. That's a good enemy. So let's say it's a friend enemy, and you get the 60-40, 60% friend, 40% enemy, and the enemy is just on the political idea. Now you're seeing where the relationship's going. Does that mean that you just block them off? No. It just showcases that you're going to have more challenges in that. And if you like that challenge, then use that to your purpose. But let's say we got the friend nemesis who just goes out and does a con artist or MLM pyramid scheme, whatever you want to use. Panhandling, you get the gist. That's something that you do not associate with whatsoever with. So now the Nemesirian has become like 70-30%. And you see how I'm playing with the percentages. Now you know this Nemesirian is that. But let's say you just listened to a friend and you didn't have this fan. And he's just like, he's a good guy. You know, he's just having a rough time, rough batch. You know, you got to make your bread somehow. No. If these are breaking your moral covenants with yourself, you do not lend on that basis. But sometimes people make us feel bad. So we cave and we forget our logic. And we are emotional beings and we are dictated by that emotional sense. But if we can go back to something a little more logical to prevent a lot of pain for the future, this is what it can do. And now if you did that FAEN thing, forgot the friend's advice on that and start looking internally and seeing how this works out, you'll be like, no, I'm having the relationship with it. I don't care what my friend just said. He's Nemesirian, and that is somebody that I can't associate with because that can be the destruction of me. And that's A-okay to have a nemesis. Hear me out. Having a nemesis showcases our boundaries. And boundaries are amazing. We don't need to fight. We don't need to yell if we create the boundaries. And then once invaded, then we start using our citadel. We start bombarding back. We siege backwards. Not backwards, forwards at the threat that has invaded us. So now we start seeing where this is lining up. And this is not to say destroy everybody. No. This is merely to say you now know the line that won't be crossed. And then you can go from there. So now we can take this a step further with the FAEN. I just went in between two boxes. You really want to understand how the FAEN gets people going. And this is where it gets phenomenal. Let's say we choose friend, and then we have enemy nemesis. The friend, let's say, is 40%. And the friend, the enemy nemesis is 60%. Now we have a toxic relationship. We now have an association where the friend is at only 40%. And there's some enemy nemesis type of relationship going on that is hurting us. That's more than the beneficial of the friend. So what can we do? And now since we diagnosed it, we can start setting boundaries. We can cut off communication, block them. People need attention. That's one thing. And the way that you can remove attention is by the boundaries and not sending contact. It's not out of hatred, it's out of protection. We cannot be taking people's garbage. And that's where I want you all to remember this. Being a garbage can for other people sucks. Stop it. Legit. You do not need to be a garbage can for other people. Know your worth. I've read many books, and each book that I've read, I've added it to the hourly rate that I know I'm worth. And then I decide what I want to do for free. This enhances my own value. So I don't sell myself short on the things I built. I ain't perfect by no means, but I know my worth and I know what I've done in the back end. And it's a lot. And it's not glorious. It really fucking sucks. But you gotta just buckle it up and do it. And it takes time. You cannot go to Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini and say, well, launch this now, when it needs to be worked upon. There's some part of the human sense that knows that must be worked before it goes fully launched. These tools that we have right now are so amazing because it can advance us further faster, but that doesn't allow for us to miss the crucial steps. Because there's many cogs, and if one cog fails, everything can fail. Now, that doesn't mean gloom or gloom that a cog fails, everything's just going to break. But it does showcase that sometimes the most important cog might get hit, and then everything cascades. So it takes a discerning eye as to what to do and better strategy. And strategy is grounded in reality. It's like gravity. As much as we wish that we could oppose it and do things as we do with technology and so forth, we are working alongside with it and understanding its rules. Because some rules had to be adhered by, or you're going to be taken down. But then some rules can be challenged, and then you can go and create something new. Create a new system. But that takes massive amount of work, effort, influence, and all these other things. And results. You can influence everybody, but get no results. So coming back to the FAEN, from what all we see as the tactics that we can use to reclaim our lives, how would you use this? Do you have a family member that just is nagging you and there's no like good feedback that's like, Because my biggest one is hearing the gurus on the space that's like, go do drop shipping. But they don't tell you how to start a payment gateway. That's something that hits me so hard because it's not just that easy. It's easy to get the website and all these things, but there's so many minute details to make sure that you're running it effectively. Like understanding, getting a password manager, going through all the steps to make sure that everything's cataloged, trying to do your best. And then all the while understanding that there's something that could always break or you're missing a detail. And that one little thing could switch everything off. And that's why I always live by this thing where nothing's guaranteed. And I love it. I hear that satisfaction guaranteed. But in my own head, I'm like, how can you guarantee anything? You really can't. If something bad happened, I can't guarantee that I'll have the resources to amend it. But you know what I can give? I can say I'll do my best with what we got. And what you've given, I will respect and do to my best ability to steward it and make sure that if we can get you back what you need, we will. And we will honor our commitments by giving so much value that you know where you're going next. And if you don't like what I say, take what you like and forget the rest. Unless, this is the big part, it holds huge consequences if you don't adhere to it, or at least consider the possibility. That's why I always live by that. Because it helps people wake up, say, hey, if this guy ain't listening, okay, I'm leaving it. But if he has something that's right, is it best to lend an ear and understand what he's trying to go at? And I would say, yes. Please do it. And be okay doing the process. And there's going to be parts that are, well, tough. Trying to understand this whole landscape. And being in a systems mindset is so powerful because it doesn't matter what all the things are going about you. You'll create something that creates repeatability and finding the best sources that allow it to just flourish. You can have one great salesperson, but he does not teach. Or you can have a pretty awesome salesperson, but not to that caliber, but he can teach. I will always take the one that teaches. And I will observe the great salesman from a distance and take away what he does and just apply it to the rest in a book format. And that's where I am fully adamant. Put your ego to rest and put something to paper, a document, whether it be 100 pages, 200, a book, novel, I don't care. Notebook, do something that catalogs it and live a life that you want. Because that's where it comes across. Create the video, do the things that you want. All right, deuces.